The three most common questions I get day in and day out from people that send me emails is, should I go to college? Should I drop out of college? Or should I send my kids to college? These are three of the most common questions I get day in and day out all the time from people, and it's such a complex issue. People just want me to say yes or no, and it's somewhere in between there, guys. So I want to fully break down everything here today. I want to do this video as a video I can send to people in the future that ask me this type of question and break it down so you can make that judgment call for yourself. And I'm going to break it down in a way that pretty much no one ever has, okay? So the first way you got to look at is you got to look at, if I go to college, what am I spending on this? And I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about other things, okay? So if you did make the decision to go to college, as far as the cost of college, let's talk about the cost. Well, first off, there is obviously the financial cost. We'll talk about that first. So there's a financial cost of some kind. We'll just do FC for that. A financial cost of some kind. This might be $5,000 a year, might be $10,000 a year. If you go to a super expensive school and you got to pay, it might be $50,000 a year. Also, you could potentially get a scholarship, but for most people, they're going to have to pay, okay? So there's some type of fee in there. Let's say the average, tuition over the course of you go there 4 years or 5 years and then you graduate is, let's say, $45,000. I think that would be about realistic here in the States, around $45,000, okay, financial cost. So first off, you're going to obviously have to pay back that debt, okay, over time, unless you got a lot of money in the bank or unless your parents can pay that for you. You're going to have to pay that out over years and years. So basically, once you get a job, once you actually get a job, let's assume you want to get a job, there's money that's going to have to come out of that, your paychecks every single week that you will have to funnel up here to pay off this $45,000, which is probably accruing interest, by the way. And that's going to take money out of your paycheck for a long time to come. Unless you make a lot of money. If you make a lot of money, you can obviously pay this back in a very quick amount of time. So if you're, all of a sudden 28 years old and you're making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year from your job, then you're going to be able to pay this off in no time. You can pay it off in like a year's time, right? However, if you're a little bit struggling out there, you're making $50K a year, obviously your living expenses are going to be something that's going to take you a long time to pay that $45,000 off. That's the first cost. The other cost we got to kind of think about this is, if you're paying off this $45,000, then obviously that's less money to invest. So we'll say LI here. So it's less money to invest, okay? Because let's say $200 out of every paycheck of yours is going up here to this $45,000 to pay off. Well, obviously that's less money you have to invest, because if you, let's say, had an equal job, you never went to college, or you didn't have to pay this bill back because your parents paid for it, or you got a scholarship or something like that, obviously you got $200 more per time to go ahead and stick toward investing. And then you add up what that would mean over the course of a year, what that would mean over the course of a lifetime, and it's dramatic, especially let's say it takes you 10 or 20 years to pay off this $45,000. Like, we're talking, that's a lot of money in the end, right? So that's kind of the first way you've kind of got to look at it. The other cost would obviously be time. You're going to stick a lot of your time into college, okay? So this is going to take up, if you're getting just a bachelor's degree, for most people, it's going to take about 4 to 5 years of your life. We know, let's say my generation, let's say we're blessed enough to live to 100 years old. So if you're taking about 5 years there, then essentially you're taking about 5% of your life, okay? And that's if we live to 100. Who knows? Maybe we'll just only live to be 80 on average or 90 on average. But let's say we all live to be 100, right? And you're taking 5% of your lifespan and you're spending it in this college, okay? You're doing school. So there's definitely a time you're putting into this, right? Now that time, we could say, what if you had invested that in something else? What if you had tried to build a business in that time? What if you had tried to build something on social media, passive income streams? A lot of different things, you could say that you could be doing with all that time, because obviously this is going to take up a great deal of time, because you got to go to those classes, or if you're taking online classes, you got to do the homework, you got to do the tests, you got to do all the stuff that even, the prior to even school starting, right? You got to go to the administration office and do all these things that usually take up hours and hours and hours of your time, okay? But that's kind of the negative, okay? That's kind of the what you have to give to get this education type experience, okay? This is the main cost here. You're going to probably accrue debt more than likely for if you're an average person, and you're obviously going to have to give up massive amounts of time. But let's talk about this on the flip side. What do you get out of this? Because you absolutely do get some things out of college that can potentially benefit you into the future, okay? So the first thing I like to think about is it can kind of give you some motivation and focus in life, college can a lot of times, okay? So as far as, if we called the other one cost, and we call this gain. So what do you gain from going to college? Like I said, first thing is kind of focus. We'll put F here for focus, and it can kind of give you, what path you want to go down, and you can kind of find yourself, because a lot of times when you're coming out of high school, like you might not even have ever had a job. You're not really sure what you want to do. Most people in that situation, you're like not sure which route you want to go down. This can kind of give you some focus and kind of lead you down whatever path you want to go down. You can kind of experiment with some classes and whatnot. Whereas sometimes if you don't go to college and you just come out of high school, then you get a job working at a fast food place or whatnot, and you're not really doing anything else, you're a little lost at that point in time, right? You're a little lost. College sometimes can give you some focus and the pathway to where you want to go. So that's one thing you can gain. You can also gain, obviously, the education they give you, okay? Now, this is different for different industries, okay? So, for instance, if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to need to go to college. There's no other way around other than going to medical school. There's no other way around. If you want to be a doctor, you need to go to college and get an education, right? If you want to be a lawyer, you obviously need a college degree. Like these are the type of things that are non-negotiables. There's no other way around it, okay? If you want to be a nurse, you need to go to nursing school. All these type of things, okay? So there are certain industries you have to go to college for. You have to. There's no other way around it. There's not like some back loophole or whatnot. And those type of industries are phenomenal for this, because guess what? A lot of those type of industries don't really change very often, okay? The same way to do heart surgery 5 years ago was probably the same way to do it 10 years ago, was probably the same way to do it 15 years ago, which will probably be the same way to do it 5 years from now, okay? These things don't change as much, and when they do change, they can get those adapted into school very quickly, okay? Same thing with a lot of stuff that has to do with law, right? These things don't change very often. Generally, the law is the same this year versus next year versus a year after. So these changes come very slow. However, if you want to study business, okay, if you want to study business and marketing and a lot of things that are related to business, right, and you want to be your own business, I don't recommend college a lot of times for you, because what you're going to gain in education sometimes is actually detrimental to you. Sometimes it's actually detrimental, because things change so fast in business. Things change so fast in marketing. It's like a snap of a finger, okay? What worked last year, what worked 5 years ago, might not even work 1% of the time now, okay? What used to work 100% of the time might not even work 1% of the time now, okay? Things change so fast. When you think about marketing, okay? Let's talk about marketing. If you were going to market a product 5 years ago, it's dramatically different than if you market a product now, okay? If you were going to market a product 20 years ago, it was dramatically different than now, okay? If you were doing 25 years ago, you want to be in magazines. If you were marketing this product, you're going to want to be on billboards and things like this. If you were marketing 15 years ago, you obviously wanted to be on Google AdWords and kind of doing that thing. That was a huge opportunity. If you're marketing, let's say 10 years ago, you're more into email marketing and things like that. If you're marketing, 5 years ago, it's even a little bit different than that. If you're marketing today, it's more like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and a lot of the new huge platforms that have emerged over the last 5 to 10 years. It's always changing, and in a few years from now, it's going to be very different than it is today, okay? Business changes constantly, and it changes so fast, and especially because of technology today. It's amazing, guys. So for that reason, a lot of what you're going to learn about business, if you're going to business school and you're going to marketing school, is outdated information that will lead you down the wrong path, that you will think you're being successful by going down this route because you learned it in college, when really that's the different way of doing things, okay? I can guarantee you, Most colleges are not even talking about personal branding. Like, personal branding is a new phenomenon that's really taken hold in a big scale way over the last couple years, right? I can almost guarantee you no college is talking seriously about personal branding and really the way to do it and all the new platforms you can do it on and whatnot. They're just missing a huge opportunity for you there. So, but you do learn education, and there are certain industries that you have to get that education for. So that is something you can gain. Another thing you can potentially gain is connections, okay? So there's a lot of connections you can make in college that will come much more natural to you in a college experience rather than in real life. Well, I guess college is real life, but I take it as it's a different way, and it's a different way you can interact socially and things like that. College is much more, laid back. You get to know somebody in college. It's very different vibe than once you're in the real world. You're actually got a job and whatnot, because what happens a lot of times once you get further along is people look at you and they say, are you just trying to use me for something here? Are you just trying to use me? In college, it's not really like that. It's just chill vibe. It's just, let's go to the party. Let's do this. Let's do that together. Let's have fun. So you get to make much more natural connections. If you're going to a really prestigious school, some of those connections can be unbelievably powerful because of sometimes those people's parents, okay? Sometimes there's some people's parents out there that go to, especially if you're going to some of these prestigious schools, that can help you so dramatically, that can open up doors and blow open doors for you that you would have never ever had the opportunity to even, get through or even try to get in that door, just because you know this person, you're friends with them, and you know their parents, and their parents can hook you up with that inside job that you would have never had the opportunity. So the connections is very powerful. Also, you can build some business connections in there. You might know somebody that knows how to code really well. They're really into coding. You hate coding, but you have this great idea to build this app or this website. Maybe you can make a connection there. You become friends, and then you decide after college you're going to build this business. Sometimes there's some business connections you can actually build in there that will help you out greatly, right? So it can really give you some focus. It can really give you some education as far as, some industries, like I said, business and those type of industries is not very good in my opinion. And it can also give you some connections, okay? The last thing it can give you is it can give you better opportunities to get a job, okay? It can give you better opportunities to get a job. We know a lot of workplaces look at your resume as far as what college we went to. There's a ton of them out there. There's a ton of jobs that it's a requirement. They even put on their applications, right? Requirement bachelor's degree, requirement master's degree. If you don't have that on it, they'll just throw it out right away, right? There's some workplaces that will overlook that, but the majority of it is if you don't have that bachelor's degree, you don't have that master's degree, we are not even considering you, okay, guys? So those are kind of the 4 things you have to gain there. So for everyone out there, it's really, what industry do you want to go to? Do you know what industry you want to go to? Now, if you don't really know, okay, and you've got a kid out there who doesn't really know, or you are that kid that's coming out of high school, you're not really 100% sure what you want to do in life, then I say community college is a great thing. Community college, some people call it city college. There's different names out there. I call it community college. I went to community college for 2.5 years. When I graduated high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't really sure. So I went to community college, and I wanted to run track and those kinds of things. So I got a half scholarship on track that I ended up earning while I was on the team. That was great. That was kind of my focus. And while in college, it kind of business came to me more and more, and I was more interested in that, and also investing was more interesting to me. So as those things came to me, it was just like an eye-opening experience for me in that. Now, why would you want to go to community college versus going to university? Well, generally, the cost of it is going to be much lower. It's going to be dramatically lower, okay? Also, many times, most community colleges, you can actually transfer those credits over to a university, okay? You can actually transfer those credits, so it's not like you're just wasting time in community college, because a lot of times you'll take basic classes, more basic classes, and then you can go ahead and transfer those credits if you decide you want to go to a university, and you've done this all at about 1/4 of the price. So when I went to community college, I literally added up the numbers. It was 1/4 of the cost as if I went to university to take some of those very similar classes, okay? Now, there also is, the perception that community college is easier. The classes are easier than at a university level, especially if you're talking about the higher universities. I don't know if that's true because I never went to a university, so I don't know if that's 100% true or not. But that can be a very beneficial thing because in the end, all that's going to say is if you do get that, degree from a university, there's nowhere in there it's going to say, oh, you went to community college for 2 years. What? No, it's not going to say that. It's going to say you graduated from ASU, you graduated from USC or wherever, okay? So that's great, and you get to spend much less money. Let's say those classes are easier. Well, then you get to funnel more time into working, okay? You can funnel more time into working at that point. You can funnel more time into learning about investing, okay? You can focus more time into personal branding if that's something you want to do. Passive income if that's something you want to do. You can funnel more time. If these classes are easier, you can funnel more time up into these other things versus if you took 12 credits at a university, maybe you have to spend double as much time on the homework and all those type of things, right? And these tests and whatnot. And over here, you might spend half the time at a community college level. Then you get to funnel all these extra hours into these things, which is a beautiful thing, guys. And you've done it all at a much less cost. Now, if you know me, you know my story. I ended up dropping out after my halfway through my third year. So I basically went for 2.5 years. I think I completed 63 credits or something. The reason I dropped out is I just felt like it was time for me to move on to the next thing, and I did not feel like college, going, because next thing for me was going to be if I wanted to keep going, I was going to have to go to university level at this point. I felt like for me, I'm done. Like I'm good now. I'm ready to start my life. I'm ready to go after it. I ended up getting a job toward the end of that third semester. I ended up getting a job at a company named Quick Trip. Okay, they started me out paying me about $40,000 a year as an overnight assistant manager. And that was all the money in the world. It was right before my 21st birthday, and $40,000 a year, like that's way more money than I have ever made. And so I was ready to get started in my business life. I was already investing and having success in investing. I'd already been looking into it and all those type of things. So for me, it was time to move on. Otherwise, I was going to have to say no to this opportunity, and I was going to have to obviously say no to investing because all my money would have been going straight toward university at that point. There would have been no money to invest. So I would have said, sayonara, 40K a year, bye-bye investing, and I'm just going in college. And I'm very happy for me I made that decision. It doesn't mean for everybody it's going to, all work out for you. It worked out for me 100%, but that doesn't mean it's going to always work out for you. And to the people that are thinking about dropping out in your last year, I think, and you're already at a university, I think that's a really hard decision to make. I would say for most people, if you're in your last year, if you're going into your last year at university, I say at that point, just finish it out. Even if you're pretty sure you want to go into something, unless it's like dire need, you need to be in that right now. Like you found the next Facebook and you need to go in that right now. Like just finish out that last year. That way you just have that degree, kind of just as something behind you, and then you can go explore and do those kind of things, guys. So this is my perspective on college. Should you go to college? Should you send your kids to college and whatnot? I think you got to take all these things into account, the cost, the gain, kind of what their focus is, if they have a specific focus, if they want to do something out there, guys. This is the kind of way I view it. And I hope this video helps tremendous amounts of you guys out there. Thank you for watching and have a great day.